Good evening, chat. Hello, and welcome to. Why is my whatever? I don't know. I think it should be working. You guys should be able to hear me. Welcome to the show, and we're covering something some of you actually like. I didn't think anybody was going to ask me to cover, but surprisingly, I got a bunch of people who emailed me with this or asked me about this on Twitter to cover it. So here we are. We're covering it. And it's the Dabbleverse. It's like, at first when you hear that, you're just like, yay. But what do we do from there? Well, this is about the it's about a lawsuit in the Dabbleverse. So your audio sounds a little hollow. Hold on, chat. Let me fix that. I see why the default microphone. There we go. That should be it. Is that better, chat? Can you hear me? That should fix that issue. No, I forgot the computer restarted last night, so it switched everything over. So there we go. We're better. No, we are covering a lawsuit here, and it's funny when you read this because you can read the lawsuit, and then yet if you go to a news article which has all the pictorial context to it, you're like, oh, okay. No kick stream. Oh, it's not working. Hold on. Let me try that again. Let me try that. I just started it again. See if that happens. All right. Hold on here. Dagamore saying twice in a row. Are you finally going to do more shows before all night for the East Coast people? Well, wait, what? I'm confused. Anyway, we are going to move on from there, guys. If you guys are new, my name is Sean, also potentially criminal. I'm an attorney in the Cleveland area, and yeah, we're going to cover the lawsuit of Stuttering John versus, Karl Heberger or Heberger. I don't know, the guy from WATP, and then Shuli Egar or Eager, whatever, the guy from the Shuli Network, who are Dabbleverse people. And if you guys understand the Dabbleverse, you got to go back to Howard Stern, and that's where this all kind of starts from. So from here, I guess we'll do a little bit of just basically breaking it down what this is. And when I explain this, you're going to be like, well, you're like, this is it? Yeah. Okay. So that's Howard Stern, obviously. And then this is John Melendez, also known as Stuttering John, because he stutters and stammers. But that's who he is. He was the guy who, on the Howard Stern show, would basically ask questions and piss off the guest, and he was kind of like the punching bag for a bunch of stuff. Anyways, Stuttering John ended up leaving Howard Stern's show, ended up going on to doing stuff for Jay Leno. I think he was like his announcer or some shit. I don't know. Anyway, and that was all back, he left Howard Stern like 2000 something. And then after Jay Leno was over, I mean, now he's just kind of like a has-been, kind of washed up, whatever. And yeah, I mean, that's it. He's kind of like a washed up guy now. I mean, I think, if you ask the Dabbleverse people, they'd say he's always been like a has-been or never was. And the idea of the Dabbleverse came about because when he was talking to Chrissy Mayer on her show, the famous line is that he dabbles in stand-up comedy, and he's basically he was getting bookings because they'd be like, look, we've got somebody from the Howard Stern show, come check it out. And everybody'd show up like, oh my god, this got to be good. And they're like, oh wow, he sucks, I think, is from what I understand the issue. So it became the Dabbleverse, and the Dabbleverse became about basically to A-log the fuck out of Stuttering John. And that's the Dabbleverse's existence. It's the raison d'etre. It is its driving cause, its driving purpose. And two of the people involved in the Dabbleverse are, and I'll bring them up here. There are Why is this? Hold on. God damn it. I hate it when it does this. Okay. There we go. I got this to work now. It's just everything wants to be a little retarded. So there are two people in the Dabbleverse that we're talking about tonight. One of them is Karl from Who Are These Podcasts, the WATP people. He does that. There's Tukey, and then I don't know who the hell that is there. But anyways, this is Karl. Just so we understand who is here. You get Metal Gear Solid Flat every time I say Raison d'etre now. Okay. So from there, that's Karl. The other guy is Shuli Egar. He actually worked on Howard Stern's show way after Stuttering John showed up, and he was there till like 5 years ago. I think he left at COVID or something. I don't really know. I don't really particularly it's not really that big a deal there. But anyways, he is also part of the Dabbleverse, and he does a show called he has like the Shuli Network, and then he's got a show exclusively to A-logging the shit out of Stuttering John. And he's got other shows, but yeah, he's got his own channel, and they do a couple different shows. And yes, we're all getting HIV from this. Yes, how pathetic. I mean, yeah. And then from there, you've got there's the Tukey, then there's the Melton, there's Chad Zumach. Anthony Kumi is part of the Dabbleverse because there's like a bleed over from the ONA Whack Pack stuff. Like it kind of bleeds over into other things. Chrissy Mayer's part of it, and I didn't realize it at the time. When you learn about the Dabbleverse, you're like, huh. And then what else? Who else is in there? Kind of like that gets into it. Aaron Steel Toe Radio Show, the Steel Toe Morning Show. It's part of that. Who else is involved in this now? I don't know. There's a bunch of people. There's like the fucking potato guy. I don't know who that is. There's a couple of people in there. Yes, I notice this, Shuli. I notice. We notice everybody. They've been messing with Perry Caravello. Yeah, he's part of it. If you guys ever just go on and see like the people in Super Tips, basically, they're almost all like Dabbleverse and Hackverse people. And I don't know, guys. You're like, I don't know. You're saying the potato guy is Cardiff Electric. Okay. So yeah, and Nick is part of I guess he's kind of part of the Dabbleverse now too. So these are the people we're talking about. So now you understand the three people involved. We can actually move on to this lawsuit. Smog and Mock says, what does a hollow point taste like? Yeah. So anyways, this is kind of the thing here. So we'll move on. So now Stuttering John, he ended up filing a lawsuit. And the way this starts off with, it's in the Supreme Court of the state of New York. Now remember, the Supreme Court is the trial court level in New York. The New York, what you would call the Supreme Court of New York, is called the New York Court of Appeals. So remember, the Supreme Court is the trial level. So don't misunderstand it. So it's a trial court in the county of New York, meaning Manhattan Island. Manhattan is New York County. And remember, each of the boroughs is its own county, like Brooklyn is Kings County, there's Queens County, there, Staten Island is its own county. So you have all those counties. So this is in downtown New York City, in Manhattan. And it's John Melendez, so that's Stuttering John. And he's suing Karl Heberger, Shuli. I didn't know that's how you spelled it. I thought it was Shuli, but the Shuli Network, and you'd think you'd kind of group these together. And if it's an LLC, because this is almost like Russell Greer, where he sues the Kiwi Farms, a website. No, you should be suing the LLC that owns the website. So is the Shuli Network an LLC in and of itself, or is there some sort of other holding organization? It's kind of important to know. And then for Who Are These Podcasts, that's Karl's show. But what's the LLC or entity that actually owns it? Because if you're just suing a podcast, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Once again, it's like Russell Greer suing Kiwi Farms, a website. No, what you sue is Lolcow LLC, which owns Kiwi Farms. So I that would have been just basic. If you just go on there, I mean, like, hold on here, let's pull it up. Let's see. I'm assuming. This is let's see what we bring up here. The Shuli Network. All right, so it doesn't say necessarily who it's owned by or like have a disclaimer on it. Kind of like mine, you could see it's like owned by Copyright Martin Media LLC. So doesn't say so, but I think you could figure it out. I think you could figure it out at some point, but doesn't sound like his attorneys put in the due diligence on this. I'm not impressed. Not impressed already. Yeah, you sue the money and you sue everybody, but you have to sue things that actually exist. You have to sue real entities. Suing a website doesn't do anything. So, like every good wannabe black man in an S-Culp. Yes. Oh. Am I rushing this because David Yanetti's going to be on the Defense Diary stream tonight? No, I didn't know that. Holy shit, Bob and Allie. Fucking nice. Nice. Nice work by them getting that again. I know they already had Bob Alessi and Yannetti on together, but they're having Yannetti on by himself. Very nice get. Very, very nice get. Bob Mata and Ali Mata, guys, they're both very good attorneys. Definitely recommend their channel. So, but we're gonna keep moving here. And Chinny or Tio Hank, you brought up something. We're gonna get to that. But like I said, I've already got issues with this because I think this is incorrect. I'm sure Karl and Shuli know who their LLCs are, or maybe they don't have LLCs. I don't know. But if there's no LLCs, you wouldn't sue the network and the podcast because it would just be Karl and Shuli. So like I said, this doesn't make any sense to me. This seems very sloppy. Okay, so anyways, they're designating New York County as the place of trial, which we'll get to why I'm kind of curious about that. So this is a basic boilerplate thing that's attached to all civil notices and civil complaints. This is why it's letting you know you're being summoned. This is attached complaint. And they're trying to serve this upon you. And someone just messaged me. What the hell is this? No, I don't care. So you take notice that the summons was personally delivered to you in New York. You must serve this answer within 20 days after such service, excluding the day of service. If this wasn't delivered to you in the state of New York, you must serve the answer within 30 days after service of the summons. So this is just letting you know you have either up to 20 or 30. You have 20 days or possibly 30 days to respond. They say take further notice. This is an action arising from the above named violation of the statutory right of publicity under New York law, New York State Civil Rights Law 50 and 51, as well as related claims under common law. And they say that this is arising from, this is kind of like just giving you a basic idea of what this is about. Deliberate commercial misuse of name, image, and likeness, audio and video to generate income. So just give you a basic idea. So there's also more that they're seeking relief. They want to stop further use of the name, image, and likeness, basically kind of like injunctive relief. Monetary relief, including compensatory damages of no less than $300,000. And then punitive damages of $300,000. An award of attorney's fees and costs, and any other relief the court deems proper. Now, this is actually pretty nice. I do like how they do this here in New York. It gives you basically an idea of what you're being, accused of doing as a harm, and then saying, well, what is the plaintiff trying to get out of you? And that way, an average person, they could read this basic paragraph and understand. Now, they may not understand the words in it, but they'll understand $300,000, presumably. And they say, if you don't serve an answer within the time limit, a judgment may be entered against you by default, which is known as default judgment. And this is dated August 7th, and it was done by Taber Benedict. I don't know if you put parentheses after that one or not. I'm not sure, Chad. I'm not noticing that one. But anyways, it's filed by Stuttering John's attorneys. They're out of New York City. And they sent it to Karl and they sent it to Shuli. And they go on from there. They talk about the complaint. So this is actually not uncommon. You'll do things here, you'll abbreviate, so it just makes things neater and quicker. So you have JM is Stuttering John, KH is Karl, Shuli is SH, TSN is for the network, and then who are these podcasts? WATP. They forgot a parenthesis there. Anyways, they talk about the statement here. Well, this is being done to stop and redress the willful and unauthorized commercial exploitation of name, image, and likeness, which also voice and persona. So they're saying over the course of 2024 and 2025, the defendants have repeatedly misappropriated Stuttering John's identity for profit through online broadcasts, ticketed live events, pay-per-views, and promotional content on YouTube and other platforms, all without his consent. All right, well, sounds serious, doesn't it? Well, let's keep going. Let's keep going here. Now, they bring this action for the right of publicity under New York civil rights law, as well as common law. And guys, remember, common law is it's the law that's out there you're allowed to sue under common tort law. And it involves deliberate misuse of his persona. You're like, ooh, what did they do? Okay, so here we go. So between June 2024 and the present day, meaning August 7th, the defendants engaged in a continuous scheme to monetize Stuttering John's fame and reputation. I mean, Stuttering John's reputation is kind of like he's a fucking toolbox. I mean, I like that. Like looking at the Dabbleverse for about 30 seconds, it's like Stuttering John's a fucking tool. So, I guess they're monetizing his reputation of being a tool. But anyways, they did so by broadcasting surreptitiously, meaning deceitfully and covertly. Surreptitiously recorded audio of Stuttering John on their online shows, incorporating his name, image, likeness in promotional materials and merchandise, and hosting paid events explicitly marketed on the appeal of hearing and seeing Stuttering John, which this is kind of correct. Like in the 10,000 foot view, like it's like at the 10,000 foot view while you're going like 10 times the speed of sound and you're like catching it as it goes like right by you. Like you kind of catch it out of the corner of your eye. That's about it. Here. So what happens? So from here, they talk about there were 2 pay for entry events. Now, DabbleCon is it took place at a venue in Rochester because that's where Karl lives. Karl lives in Rochester. He did a DabbleCon one. Well, just a DabbleCon. When you do the first one, it's just DabbleCon. The second one is DabbleCon 2. And then in mid 2024, so last year they did DabbleCon 2. I don't think they've done another DabbleCon. They've done the 3. And then they did Dabble House in April 2025, which was a pay-per-view. So what do they do here? Yes, it's funny to hear legal descriptions of gay ops. It is. That's how bad this is when you're trying to explain gay internet shit in a legal document. It's hard not to sound gay yourself. So they advertise using Stuttering John's identity, including his photograph and recordings as the main attraction to draw audience to sell tickets. Once again, yeah, that's like the 10,000 foot view of that. I mean, technically that's correct, but there's a lot more to it. This is so they could survive motions to dismiss. And we're gonna get to that. In the lead up to the events, the defendants aired numerous live stream programs on the Shuli network featuring his name and likeness, and even played clips of the recorded voice, all while collecting paid super chats. They didn't. Melton, they're not talking about super tips. They don't care about you, apparently. And then other revenue for viewers, many of whom reside in New York State and New York City. Okay. I mean, yeah, because like fucking Howard Stern was like, New York City, Opie and Anthony, New York City. Like that was their haunt. I mean, there were like other fans all over the place, but like that was where everything happened. Like the XM and Sirius Studios were in New York City, for at least initially. I don't know forever, but they have gone so far as to exploit plaintiff's personal property and memorabilia for commercial gain. Now we're gonna get to this here, guys. Stealing discarded items of plaintiff's trash, such as sofa cushions from his L.A. home, where Stuttering John lives in L.A., and displaying them as props to attract attention, demonstrating an extraordinary willful disregard of his rights. Now, you're like, wait, they took stuff he threw away? Yeah. So what's the problem? Once again, this is a retarded lawsuit. So we're going to keep going. So here, and this is I think we'll you know what? I mean, we'll kind of start. We'll just go ahead and do it here. So, the lack of consent and we'll just start here with the sofa cushions. So at DabbleCon 2, and I think they're going to get to it later, but we're just going to, hold on here. I forget when I briefly kind of blew through this. Shoot. Yeah, we'll get to the factual allegations here. We're going to scroll through this. This is kind of like a bunch of gay preambles. We'll get to all that in a minute. But guys, this thing right here, this is a big one. Put a big fucking pin in this. Once again, this is being written to survive motions to dismiss. That's what we're at here, okay? So, the lack of consent sounds like a Destiny joins the chat. At no point did Stuttering John consent to the use of his name, image, voice, or any other aspect of his persona. On the contrary, when he learned of this, he took active steps to stop them. Specifically what? Well, they sent multiple cease and desist letters. Yeah, because that's going to fucking do a whole lot. Demanding they cease their unlawful use of his recorded voice and likeness. Okay. These letters also admonished defendants for making extortionate threats. Specifically, they had threatened to release embarrassing recorded conversations of Stuttering John once he acquiesced to their demands, including a demand that he admit to crimes he did not commit. Specifically, which plaintiff's counsel noted was illegal and actionable. So it sounds like you should have gone to the police, and they claim they filed reports with law enforcement regarding the phone calls that the defendants were exploiting. Did anything happen with those? Because that's kind of a hint that it probably wasn't illegal. But then again, also, hold on, Chet. Can you hear me or not? I think I actually bumped my mic. I don't know if you guys can hear me right now. Hold on one second. What's that, babe? Okay. Because like my mixer, every time it like resets, all the buttons like just stay lit. So it's confusing the shit out of me. But also, I mean, even if there was a criminal case here, once again, you have to call the FBI or the LAPD, and you have to go like, look, this happened on the internet. Help. That sounds really gay to start with when you're, when you're the tech bureau, you're like, click. So they say, despite making these demands, they ignored them and even escalated. They brazenly pressed on with the DabbleCon 2 event. So what is their relief sought? Well, they claim this has caused significant injury. I'm like, I don't think it did. They've usurped his sole right to control the commercial use of his identity. Did they really? I mean, how much identity out there is your thing for Stuttering John? Because he's a fucking drunk. I mean, like, once again, you guys don't have to watch much in the Dabbleverse to realize, like, Stuttering John loves his Coors Light. And the funnier thing is, if you go to this, Stuttering John's got a silver bullet right there. Nothing wrong with Coors Light, but apparently that's his thing. That's his thing when he's being a drunk toolbox. They inflicted emotional distress and humiliation. Well, emotional distress maybe, but they definitely did humiliation. But hey, that's Kitsafa by subjecting to public ridicule. Okay, well that's okay. They deprived him of the ability to monetize his own name and likeness. Well, in what way was he going to start embarrassing the shit out of himself? Was he like, I was going to start A-logging myself? You ruined the market. Or maybe it's like Brian Bosworth when he would like the football player back in the 80s. He hired a guy to go sell shirts at every football game that was an away game where like you could buy a shirt saying, I hate Brian Bosworth. And Brian Bosworth was printing the shirts and he was making all the fucking money. So the defense have unjustly enriched themselves by trading the reputation and fame, pocketing money from ticket event sales, super chats, and all at Stuttering John's expense. So they seek a permanent injunction, which they're not going to get. They also seek monetary relief, $300,000 for compensatory damages, punitive damages, exemplary punitive damages of $300,000 to deter the conduct, and attorneys' fees and costs. Yeah, it's not going to happen. So who are and we'll get to these. Who are these parties now? So John Melendez is an individual residing in Florida. Now, he is a nationally known comedian. I don't know about that one. Is he a media personality? Sure. Famously known by the moniker Stuttering John from his years on the Howard Stern show, as well as being an announcer for Jay Leno. Yes, he did. In other entertainment adventures. No. I mean, all we know about him was from the Howard Stern show. I only learned about the Jay Leno shit from this lawsuit. So, no. I only knew you were the fucking retard on Howard Stern's show. So, I mean, that was it. That's it. And if you ask anybody, like most people are going to say who, but people who might have heard of you only know of you from Howard Stern. Like, let's not fucking lie about it. Let's not lie about it. Yeah, he was a Leno announcer. It's like, then again, though, who fucking watched Leno, really? I mean, not everybody, like millennials aren't going to be watching Leno, and, who knows? Who the fucking knows? Yeah, most people don't know who the hell this guy is. So they're really churching him up, and it's not working. So Melendez has cultivated a distinctive persona. I mean, he stutters and stammers. Like, that's not really cultivating it, but anyway. And his name, image, likeness possess significant commercial value. I mean, okay, maybe. At all relevant times, like, I don't know, maybe, question mark. At all relevant times, Melendez did not authorize the defendant to use his identity for any purpose. Okay. So, upon information and belief, Karl is an individual residing in the state of New York. Yeah, I'm pretty much sure he lives in Rochester. That's why DabbleCons are in Rochester. I mean, and that's the interesting part here. Karl lives in Rochester. They even believe so on his address here, living in Rochester. But they aren't like, why don't they just specify that here? He is a content creator, yes, an event promoter, has worked in concert with defendant Shuli to produce online shows under the banner of WATP and the Shuli Network. Karl played a pivotal role in planning and hosting the events at issue, including DabbleCon 2. Well, they're not giving you credit for doing DabbleCon, Karl. That's a little offensive. And Dabble House, which I have no idea what Dabble House was about. I know about DabbleCon. He directly participated in the authorized use of name, image, and likeness, blah, 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 blah. He has openly been the face of Who Are These Podcasts? I mean, he is the guy who runs it. So, yeah. Then he exploited there. And they exploited his Stuttering John's persona. Yes, Stuttering John sued SiriusXM and lost. Yes. Upon information and belief, Shuli is an individual residing in the state of Alabama. Shuli is a comedian and online broadcaster. Yes, and he, actually is. An operator on YouTube under the trade name of the Shuli Network. He formerly worked in New York as a radio personality and has a nationwide following. Yes, something Stuttering John doesn't have. In the events described herein, he served as a host and organizer frequently on camera, was primarily responsible for broadcasting Stuttering John's voice and image on the Shuli Network programs. Well, yeah, because it's his fucking network. Notice they're not even giving credit for working on the fucking Howard Stern show. They want that honor to be only to Stuttering John because it's so prestigious. Nobody else could have done it. I mean, it does take a little bit of the luster off the Stuttering John shine if you have no idea who these people are. So the event described herein, Shuli and Karl acted at a close concert, and Shuli has openly been the face of the Shuli Network. I mean, he should. It's named after him. And exploited Stuttering John's persona. It says the defendant, the Shuli Network, is an entity or alter ego. Well, do you know? Is it an LLC or something? The Shuli Network is believed to be an unincorporated association doing business as or other similarly structured enterprise. Possibly just an unregistered trade name solely owned by the sole proprietor. I mean, okay, if that is, then there's no reason to sue. Like, have you done any basic due diligence on this? The principal place of business likely in Alabama. Yeah, because that's where he lives. But along with that, it's earning revenue, but the revenue would all pass through to Shuli. So, anyways, the defendants, including TSN, operate monetized YouTube channels. Yup. And they talk about there. And they talk about who are these podcasts, WATP. They talk about, once again, they believe it's an unincorporated association, DBA, or other similarly structured enterprise, or just an unregistered trade name, which just Google, like, you could search these guys out on the Secretary of State's website and look up LLC filings and S-Corp filings. Like, it wouldn't be that hard. So they say that, with place of business likely in Rochester, New York, or Alabama. I don't see why it'd be Alabama. But along with them, they earn revenue from buyers in New York State and New York City. So they also say throughout 2024-25, the WATP was a vehicle by which Shuli and Karl monetized the use of name, image, likeness. So when they say collective allegations, at all times, each defendant acted individually and in concert with the others with respect to the acts complained of. It's a conspiracy, chat. Well, that's what I figured. Shuli lives in Alabama, but it sounds like they're saying, well, Karl might live in Alabama or his business is Alabama. Like, I'm pretty sure Karl's fucking business is in fucking New York. Like, it's not hard. No. Anyways, we're just going to keep going here. All defendants share in the profits derived from the wrongful conduct. Well, I mean, is it wrongful? All defendants are jointly and severally liable for the torts and statutory violations described below. Well, I mean, ultimately, it's Shuli and Karl, unless these are separate LLCs you're going after. I don't. This is so fucking. I can't imagine there's a statute, like a 1-year statute of limitations. Like, they should have some time. Like, fucking do your due diligence on this shit, man. This is just ugh. Jurisdiction and venue. They arise under New York state law, and that makes sense because the DabbleCon shit happened in New York. Okay. And they say plaintiff seeks civil damages and the minimum of lower courts, including a demand of $600,000 in total damages. Now, how do they have personal jurisdiction over everybody? Well, under New York's long arm statutes. Well, but here's the thing. Karl lives in New York, so he's subject to New York jurisdiction personally. But is Manhattan, New York, the proper place? Because if you guys don't know, as far as, on the map, and no, we're not talking about, chat. There are 2 places that we're talking about right now. So down here is Manhattan. Okay. Down here, that's Manhattan. This is the state of New York over here. Like, here's Buffalo. Here's Albany, state capital. And then here's Rochester. And that's Lake Ontario. Up here, guys, is Lake Ontario. Here is Lake Erie. And then here's Niagara Falls. But anyways, look, like, that's like a 4 or 5 hour car ride for Karl. Like, why are we not suing where it all happened in Rochester? That we'll see if they'll make sense about that. Now, they say that they're directed to New York, which gives rise to the claim. Particularly, the defendants organized, promoted, and carried out DoubleCon 2 in Rochester. Okay, well, yeah, so do it in Rochester. You know, they did this via pay-per-views. The defendants regularly transmit and broadcasted infringing content into New York via the internet. This right here is not an effective means of asserting jurisdiction. We've seen that in the federal court cases like the Smash JT and Alyssa Mercani. Merely saying it's on the internet and people in here can look at it. No, that's not good enough. That is not a good enough way of establishing jurisdiction. You got to establish, are you taking advantage of the laws, and protections of the state if you don't happen to live there or have committed enough business contacts in the area? Now, doing the DabbleCon thing might on its own be enough. They did solicit tickets and sell event, donations, event tickets, and otherwise transact business in New York, which that could be true. They talk about the injuries occurring in New York. Yeah, that makes sense. So, I just don't understand why we're going to New York City, but anyways. They say upon information and belief, Karl's a resident of New York State. Yeah, well, you have it there. And then Shuli conducted business in New York, including the acts at issue. They say, and this one's still not going to be good enough. One or more of their they process payments to receive money through a New York State-based merchant banking accounts, which them setting up a bank account maybe, but like that's saying I use Stripe for local, so therefore I'm subject to jurisdiction wherever Stripe is. That doesn't make any sense. So this part here is kind of fucking garbage. Once again, that's garbage. I would not argue that's a valid way to do it. And they say each defendant has availed himself of the laws of New York and should anticipate being hauled into a New York court to answer for the conduct alleged. I don't know. I think ultimately, yeah, they'll probably find that Shuli is, fair game on this, but we'll see. Now, here you go. The venue's proper. Why? Well, they're saying that Stuttering John's designated as a place of trial. Stuttering John's not a New York resident. They say, although Karl resides in New York State, so knows they are bringing up, hey, he lives in Monroe County. Okay. And it permits laying venue in a county where a part of the events or emissions giving rise to the claim occurred. If you guys are Dabbleverse people out there, Dabble House, I'm assuming, wasn't in New York City, and DabbleCon 2 was not in New York City. So how do you get to go to Manhattan to set it up? Because they're claiming a substantial portion of the events and harms occurred in this county in the greater New York City area. This is, they're claiming that this is widely published and viewable in New York County. Well, it's published and viewable in every county in New York. And the commercial impact was felt in this county because his reputation and entertainment industry, which is centered in New York City, have been harmed. That's a shitty fucking argument. Well, and that's what I was going to ask you, LK. Yeah, Dabble House or DabbleCon weren't in Manhattan. So this arguing that John is suffering damages here, this doesn't fucking work for me. I think if you sued in Monroe County, that makes sense. That would make 100% sense, filing it there. That's where they did it, at least one part of it. That makes a whole lot of sense. That's also where one of your defendants resides. Or if he doesn't reside actually in in Monroe County, he's like right next door, and that's close enough, good enough. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. This is very weird to me. The argument they're doing this year. This is kind of shitty. So, like I said, guys, this is a dog shit lawsuit. So, anyways, yes, Stuttering John is a well-known figure in comedy. Fucking citation fucking needed. And broadcasting. Once again, if you went out and asked people on the street, they'd be like, who the fuck is that? They say by virtue of his public career, Stuttering John's name and likeness carry significant fame and goodwill among audiences. Significance doing a lot of fucking work there. Yeah, I mean, this one right here. Deny. Deny its entirety. And remember, chat, here's the issue. When you have these multiple, and I brought this up before, when you deal with responding, you keep it short and sweet, succinct, because if you put two factual things in a paragraph, and one of them's not true, you could say deny the whole thing. So the defendants are not as well known commentators and content producers. They're not as good as me. They suck. They don't have they don't get any viewers. Their super chats suck. They don't have any subs on Kick. Sounds like some shit DSP would say. And they operate in the same role of entertainment and have frequently targeted Stuttering John as a subject of discussion on their shows. And it's like, this actually would be far more impressive. Yes, they're obscure. This actually, if these attorneys actually put down kind of what the Dabbleverse was about, that actually might give them some teeth saying, like, look, Your Honor, these guys A-logged the shit out of my client. That's their whole existence. If Stuttering John now they could say they move on to other targets. But if Stuttering John disappeared, a lot of these guys would be fucking hurting for content. So there's a lot of chatter that VTL, I have no idea I don't know who the fuck that is. Very truncated lemurs. I don't know who this is fucking baseball. This inside baseball I don't understand. So I don't know who that is. Well, anyways, they say realizing that Melendez's mere presence, even unauthorized and in some cases falsely implying participation, drew substantial audience attention. Well, that's a lot of bullshit. The defendant seized upon an illicit opportunity to generate content and revenue by incorporating Stuttering John without ever seeking or obtaining his permission. They didn't need it, and we'll get to that. Oh, VTL is Vince the lawyer? Okay, I have heard that name. Like, God, there's like fucking layers of gay ops in the Dabbleverse. Jesus. It's gay ops, I don't... So anyway, here's how this starts getting to his voice. This is part of the allegations here. So the defendants obtained and illegally recorded private phone calls of Stuttering John. They used those recordings along, and notice now they're explaining to you, because before they kept on saying, using his voice. Well, how were they using his voice? Well, now listen to, here's how they're using his voice. They used phone calls that recorded along with his image and other personal material as a centerpiece for their commercial ventures. Okay. They formed part of a deliberate ongoing effort to capitalize on his celebrity at the expense of his legal rights. Like, no. So, upon information and belief, this illicit use of Stuttering John's name, image, and likeness, or AI modified voice. Really, they're claiming it an AI like, is this where they're bringing in super tips? Or this, I think this either super tips or this is a shot in the fucking dark. I don't know. So anyways, they talk about bringing up a material percentage of the gross revenue for today there. So they say that in June of 2024, Shuli procured the confidential telephone conversations of Stuttering John through unlawful means. Now, is he saying this is shitty lawyering here, shitty wording? Did Shuli procure what they're claiming to be illegally recorded phone calls that were obtained through unlawful means? Or is he saying Shuli used unlawful means to do that? That's not clear. This is garbage fucking work. Because now if I can't understand it, that there's a problem. They say, upon information and belief, Shuli enlisted a third party, Kate Meany. I have heard that name. She is a comedian who is a acquaintance of Stuttering John, to record her private phone calls with Stuttering John surreptitiously. Now, these phone calls took place while Stuttering John was in California, a state that requires consent of all parties to record a phone call. Okay, where was Kate Meany? Because that's the issue. If there are two parties and they're not in the same state, then it's not so clear cut. And then we also get to something where I think this is a massive problem with these situations where people claim there are, wiretapping and the way eavesdropping laws have been used, as people see them. So, like, if you have A and B and they're on a phone call, and here's my example. So A and B are talking, and they're going back and forth. Obviously, if B takes everything he remembers, and then he goes later on and talks to C, is that an invasion of A's privacy? No. Is that eavesdropping? No. If B instead goes to D, or let's say B's a stenographer, it sits there and types it all out. It has a documented record of that phone call. Is A really been eavesdropped on? No. What an eavesdrop is meant so, like, if D is sitting here listening in, A and B have to approve of a third-party eavesdropping. Because think about it. If this was meant that you yourself couldn't record a phone call, you can't wiretap your own fucking conversation. It's meant for somebody who is a third party intercepting transmissions. Now, I hate this because that's how this shit works. And it's infuriating having to deal with that. And it's nonsense. It's nonsense the way it works. So it never should be the party who's involved. It should only be this guy here, D, when he taps in to hear what's going on. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Anyway, yes, two-party consent states are retarded anyway. But I still think at the end of the day, the idea that you can, it's meant so clearly a third party interferes. So anyway, Stuttering John talks to this person, Kate. Other than she's part of the Dabbleverse, I don't know shit about her. So Stuttering John never consented to any such recordings. Don't fucking care. That's not important. If that were the case, you would have gone and filed a police report against Kate Meany for breaking the fucking law, and you didn't do that. So if Kate illegally wiretapped you, you didn't go to the police about it. The recording the calls was illegal under California law. Did you fucking do anything about it? Did she get prosecuted? So they say that Shuli told Kate to commit this act by exploiting a personal situation. Shuli had been publicly ridiculing Kate on his shows, and he promised to cease harassment if she provided him with recorded conversations of Stuttering John. Okay, well, that's fine. It's not illegal. That's not illegal. So, and they say upon information and belief, Kate covertly recorded the multiple phone calls with Stuttering John, delivered the audio files of Shuli and Karl, and they contained his voice and personal statements captured without his knowledge. Womp, womp. Don't fucking care. It's not illegal. And they say that Karl and Shuli knew or should have known that they were obtained unlawfully. Oh, I mean, well, where was Kate? Notice, in chat, I mentioned this to you before. It's the idea of what is not talked about. What is not talked about in these things. So when you're dealing with this stuff, what they don't say tells you a lot too. They won't tell you where Kate Meany lives. Well, if Kate Meany doesn't live in California, then that creates a problem for Stuttering John's case to try to make this claim this shit was illegal. They won't tell you because they know that's going to hurt them. So once again, this is being engineered strategically to survive a motion to dismiss. That, or these guys are just retards and believed everything Stuttering John told them. I'd like to think some of this is intentional and tactical. So by early summer 2024, Shuli and Karl were in the process of organizing a fan convention and comedy event titled DabbleCon 2. And this event was scheduled for August 16th, 17th in Rochester, New York. The event was a sequel to a prior DabbleCon. It was aimed at the community of online listeners. Okay, and this is bullshit here. Online listeners who dabble in commentary about various interpersonalities, with Stuttering John being a primary subject of interest. That is so fucking wrong. That is so wrong. So, Tio Hank says, I'm bored and I'm a Dabbleverse fan. Yeah, well. Oh. So in the weeks leading up to DabbleCon 2, the defendants embarked, and LK saying that's not even the timeline. Fair enough. I'm just saying, even if that's the fact alleged, it's still not illegal. So, in the weeks leading up to DabbleCon, Karl and Shuli embarked on an aggressive campaign that revolved around Stuttering John. They advertised using his name, image, likeness, voice, and persona, and would feature exclusive content to Stuttering John. They would hear portions of secret phone calls. And they say this was a major selling point. They knew their audience were eager to hear Stuttering John's private conversations. You know, it's like the cuck fridge chat for Hackmania. It became like the the presenting of a war trophy. So to generate buzz before the events, Karl and Shuli hosted multiple live stream video programs discussing Stuttering John and the leak calls. And then they the Shuli Network aired a members only stream entitled John and Kate Plus Hate. Cheeky. And the program used the name and reference his voice in connection with Kate Meany. So they also talk about the thumbnail displayed for viewers for this prominently featured photograph. Stuttering John's image, the face of the show. During the stream, the defendants played excerpts of Stuttering John's voice. They analyzed and mocked the contents of these calls on air, while encouraging viewers to donate money via YouTube's super chat function. And then in June, they broadcast an emergency show focusing on John and Kate, which that is still cheeky, as a promotional hype stream for DabbleCon 2. Okay. So they did encourage, they made direct monetary gain. They urged fans to buy tickets or pay-per-view access if they wanted to hear it all. They were using Stuttering John's name, image, and voice in promotional graphics and voice feed recordings to advertise the event and drive ticket sales. So, we have examples of things here. So, promotional material. This is the promotional material when you see here. So, I don't know if you guys can see if we can zoom in here. But anyways, you have the, who are these podcasts? That's Karl's thing. Uncle Rico, that's like the show where they sit there and shit on Stuttering John with Shuli. But does this look like it's like Stuttering John's endorsing it or he's gonna be there? No, he looks like a dunce in this one. And then in this one, he looks like a toolbox too. Like, do you really think that's gonna be like the issue there? Like, oh wow, Stuttering John's gonna be there. He supports this. It's not like there's a picture of him giving the thumbs up or something. No. This is 100% clearly to mock him. So upon a learning of this, they attempted to halt the misuse. Through the attorneys, they sent formal cease and desist letters. And, hopefully those guys wipe their asses with them because that is retarded. Back then, his previous counsel, which I'm sure was like, you have no case, but we'll try to help with some scary letters, notified Shuli and Karl of their unlawful conduct, accusing them of slander, extortion, and invasion of privacy. They demanded that they cease playing or disseminating the recorded calls. It referenced the defendant's own statements implying that unless Stuttering John admitted to certain allegations, notice, now we're on to certain allegations, not criminal activity. You're actually looking for a Stuttering John. Well, they would release the tapes, conduct which they identify as extortionate. It was or should have been clear that use of our client's name, image, likeness to sell tickets was unauthorized. And then a follow-up letter reiterated these demands and clarified they would pursue all legal remedies. A fucking year later, though. Jeez, that's kind of weak. Additionally, he filed law enforcement or police reports. He lodged a complaint with the FBI and the LAPD. I'm sure that his concern was noted. They identifying Kate, Shuli, and Karl as parties involved. And these actions put the defendants on explicit notice their conduct was unauthorized, illegal, and highly objectionable. So they failed to heed to the warning. So DabbleCon 2 was held. They proceeded to hold it on August 16th, 17th in Rochester. The event was a ticketed gathering of fans held at a commercial venue, a comedy club, where Shuli and Karl, along with associates, performed and presented material to a live audience. The primary draw not being the commentary, but Stuttering John's name, image, likeness, and legally recorded voice. Yeah, okay. Well, they definitely were a big draw. They say that his name, image, likeness were exploited. I mean, were they really? And leading up to the event, the defendants have repeatedly invoked Stuttering John's persona. For example, online flyers included caricatures, cartoons, and photos of Stuttering John. And we already just showed those. We already just saw those. Like, there's nothing like fuck him. You know, they made good on their promise, though. They played the secret recordings in their entirety. Ooh. This was done to engage the crowds at Stuttering John's expense as a climatic highlight of the show. All of which made the defendants money. So they say upon information and belief, the audience was eagerly anticipating and hearing the voice on the tapes. At one point, the crowd chanted, "We want the tapes." I'm assuming that's, we want to hear Stuttering John. The spectacle of broadcasting the conversation was the headline feature, far overshadowing any original content the defendants provided. I would argue that's original content right there. The attendees effectively paid for the unauthorized Stuttering John content. The defendants capitalized on the fame to sell out the venue and enhance their own standing in the community of listeners. And they said, plaintiff himself was not present nor even aware of what would occur, yet his identity effectively headlined the event without his consent. Yeah, that's how that would work. So, in a further egregious twist, is it really is it a twist? No, I'd argue this is insult to injury if you're going to use words there. They incorporated actual personal property of Stuttering John. Now, here you go. So what happened? Well, allegedly, either Shuli and Karl went to LA, and more likely somebody in LA did this because Stuttering John had been doxxed. People know where he lived. They trespassed or otherwise intruded on his residential apartment building and obtained discarded items. Specifically, they retrieved several sofa cushions from Stuttering John's trash after he disposed of an old couch. And I guess that, it'd been part of like what Stuttering John would stream. He would just do it from his apartment. Now, here's the issue, you guys. When you see this is, they even have like, there's no pictures here, which tells you a lot because it's like, this would be so much more. Now, this is from Shuli's channel or something here. I forget what show this is, but anyway, let's make some argument. This is on the street right here. Here's the street. Here's the sidewalk. This is clearly on the tree lawn, whatever you call it, but it's clearly out in public. The fences are behind, like there are fences, but they're behind it. So this is clearly out in public. It's trash. If the police wanted to seize this, they wouldn't even need a warrant. That's the point here. If the police stole these away, they would be legally allowed to do so without a warrant under Supreme Court precedent. Like, this is abandoned property. When you throw it out on the curb for trash, it's abandoned property. I'm sure you guys know. So you throw it out and, the hillbillies coming through for scrapping, come pick out scrap. Well, this is, no different. People could pick through your garbage. Now, there is something you could say, like, let's say one of the fucking, WATP fans came over and hopped the fence to go grab shit. Okay, yeah, that's a trespass. That's not proper, but that didn't happen here, so who cares? This is all on the curb. This is all fair game. if anybody else had picked this up, Stuttering John wouldn't have given two shits. If somebody else would have said, oh, one man's trash, another man's treasure, and took, who knows if this is Stuttering John's, but maybe it's full of bed bugs. I don't know. Stuttering John, bed bug problem, chat? I don't know. But anyways, they took his couch cushions. Well, they're not his anymore. He threw them away. They threw them away. But somebody took a picture of this saying, look what I found, and went ahead and grabbed some shit. So this doesn't sound like, it sounds really bad right here, but you're like, yeah, this isn't that big a deal. This right here isn't that big a deal. The cushions were recognizable due to Stuttering John's home studio. They were then transported to Rochester, presented as a comedic exhibit. Okay. They put the used cushions on display for attendees to photograph and joke about, essentially treating discarded trash as a trophy. So the fuck what? You threw it out. They're allowed to do this. They're allowed to do this. So the stunt was clearly intended to ridicule Stuttering John and further entice fans by offering a bizarrely intimate connection to him. Literally pieces of his home. I mean, yes, this part is correct. They are enticing, like, yes, it's a physical thing you can touch and be around. But where's the crime? Where's the tort action? I still don't understand the tort. No, here, listen to the way this is phrased. Stuttering John never authorized anyone to take his discarded property for any purpose. What they're trying to say is Stuttering John never authorized anyone to take his trash for any purpose. And you're like, you see how that sounds? You see how retarded that sounds? But when you phrase it this way, it sounds better. This is just it's just fucking moronic. By exploiting these items in a commercial setting, they flagrantly violated Stuttering John's privacy and property rights. How? How exactly? Underscoring the lengths which they would go to profit from the persona. Well, yeah, it still don't work. You're swinging a miss. After Dabblecon 2 concluded, they continued to breach Stuttering John's rights under New York state law. They did not relent. Okay. So, they followed up with more things. And then, in the weeks afterwards, they broadcast a live show titled Stuttering John Gets Creepy. Was conducted before a live online audience and possibly a live in-studio audience. So, as with prior streams, they use his name and image on the thumbnail, which you're allowed to. I mean, shit. I use Stuttering John's image in this thumbnail. Fucking sue me, faggot. Let's do this. I mean, I use all kinds of people's thumbnails or images and thumbnails. I mean, I use Karl and Shuli's. So they say that they further that on the stream, the defendants repeatedly referenced the events of Dabblecon 2 and played or discussed portions of the recordings that had been featured there. They also use these streams to promote upcoming projects, teasing that more material involved Stuttering John will be coming soon, thereby encouraging their audience to stay tuned and contributing money. Well, I mean, there you go. Keep them wanting more. Each time the defendants they invoked Stuttering John, they solicited and received more super chat donations, elevating their channel's revenue. And so what the grift is the grift. In short, they treat a Dabblecon 2 event and its trove of recordings as content that could be endlessly monetized. Well, that's the goal. Endless monetization. I mean, that's how you know you're good. You could keep doing it. It's like how people monetize the shit out of Johnny Depp. Just going and going and going. It's like Karen Reed. You could put Karen Reed with Turtle Boy up on the screen and you'll get a couple hundred, if not a couple, 1,000 views automatically. As 2024 drew to a close, they sought to obtain even more unauthorized material. And they say, once again, Shuli again contacted Kate to coax her into recording Stuttering John without his consent. Upon information and belief, and here you go, despite Kate Meany's prior assurances that to Stuttering John she would never tape him again. And her apparent remorse for the first incident, Shuli got her to surreptitiously record Stuttering John a second time. Well, Stuttering John sounds like a fucking retard. What a dumb fucker. What a dumb fucker. So upon information and belief, again, Shuli threatened her that if she did not help him, he would publicly spread false rumors that Kate had a very serious romantic relationship with Stuttering John. Ugh. So once more, she unlawfully recorded the phone calls in and around late 2024. Well, where was Stuttering John at that time? Because did he move to Florida? Because I believe Florida is a one-party state. It's not clear. And notice, they aren't telling you. They aren't telling you because it's Florida's a two-party consent state. Well, why would they just include that? This is just laziness. So these new recordings, again, contain Stuttering John's voice without his knowledge or consent. And they had a new batch of stolen audio of Stuttering John. I mean, like, I will say here, did they go, like, was he smart enough not to fucking talk to this bitch again? Or has she talked to him again in the meantime? Like, I am curious to know how retarded is Stuttering John here on this. Like, how retarded did he get about it? So they said, armed with this fresh illicit content, they move forward. So Karl and Shuli did an event entitled Dabble House. The name itself was an allusion to Stuttering John, playing on his well-known nickname, Stuttering John, and a trope in the community about dabbling in John-related content. Yeah, that's not correct at all. So no. So they say in February 2024, Shuli started playing the originally unlawfully obtained recordings of Kate and John in the referring to the shows as Tapuary to promote the acquisition of new recordings in the upcoming Dabble House. Dabble House was conceived as a pay-per-view streaming event from April 11th to 12th of 2025. Never heard of it. Unlike DabbleCon 2, which is a traditional comedy club gathering, Dabble House was primarily an online to pay access show from a studio in Florida. Defendant offered fans the ability to purchase virtual tickets or streaming passes. As before, the central draw advertised was the promise of hearing Stuttering John's fucking creepiness. Yeah. So in the promotions that they hinted they had sensational new audio of Stuttering John, and that these would be showcased during the pay-per-view. Okay, well, I mean, like, still not illegal. I still don't see the problem here. So they say they use the name and likeness to generate excitement among their subscriber bases. Yeah, I mean, no shit. So they say that the pay-per-view sales for Dabble House were funneled through one of the payment accounts in New York, indicating that the revenue from this Florida-based event flowed back into New York. Okay, maybe. And the scheme was essentially a repeat of DabbleCon 2. Entice the audience with the content, charge admission, and reap the profits. The unauthorized use was a model the defendants repeatedly used. Yeah. But it's only possible via breaking New York state law. Yeah, don't fucking care. Don't care. This is gay. This is really fucking garbage. And further promoting Dabble House, the defendants again obsessively discussed Stuttering John. Well, it's the fucking Dabbleverse. They're not dabbling in SS Panzer tactics. Oh, it's like you're not going to see a fucking round table about fucking Joachim Piper. Or, who is better, Michael Vittman or Kurt Neipsel? You're not going to see that on the fucking Dabbleverse. So they say, on or about January 24, 2025, they broadcast an episode of one of their recurring shows known as the Uncle Rico Show. Well, that's the Shuli Network. And it's meant to mock Stuttering John with the title, The First Time Stuttering John Was Played by Kate Meany. Okay, well, he was. During the show, they played clips depicting Stuttering John and recounted how Kate had played him, essentially previewing the narrative behind the upcoming Dabble House content. It was more unauthorized commercial use, a proven model for increasing revenue. Unfortunately, contravention of New York state law. Yeah, no, it's not. They used again his name to prominently draw viewers. Okay, suffer. I don't know what to tell you. So beginning in January, defense kept their audience engaged and primed them to purchase the pay-per-view event in April. All the while, they continue to derive ongoing YouTube advertising revenue and donos and due to the increased viewership. And they talk about Dabble House taking place. It was physically produced in Florida. It was broadcast live to paying customers worldwide, including many in New York. They say during this 2-day event, they once again aired the phone calls. They played significant portions of the December recordings. I'm not going to call them secret because they aren't. They're just recordings of the plaintiff for the Stuttering John for the audience, interspersing these with their own commentary and comedy. Karl and Shuli acting as hosts derived humor and content directly from John's words on those tapes, and again, by unauthorized commercial use, generating more revenue. As with DabbleCon 2, they use visual elements referencing Stuttering John, displaying his photos or caricatures or wearing attire that invoked his image or trademarks to enhance the show's appeal. I can't imagine he actually has trademarks, but who knows? Who knows, really? Once again, the viewers paid to witness the unauthorized exhibition of the private moments. By the conclusion, they had further lined their pockets with profits. Well, sounds like they did a good job. Sounds like they did a good job. Made that money. They, without having paid Stuttering John a cent or obtained his permission. Oh, well. By May 2025, the ongoing exploitation of Stuttering John had become so notorious that even outside observers began commenting on the likely illegality of their conduct. Like who? Like who? What outsiders? They say an internet-based legal commentary program called Lazy Law News Network. Lazy Law News Network, like... Let's see here. This, the Lazy Law News Network. Okay, so when you look for things here, this is the Lazy Law News Network. Like, it doesn't look like it has a lot going on here, but it's all fucking Dabbleverse shit. You believe Lazy Law News Network is Vince the lawyer? I mean, okay, that makes some more sense too. But like, look at these videos. Like, okay, okay, so they're talking about the guy who fucking had the tattoos on his face. Okay, that's actual real stuff. Yeah, but here you go. It's 117 videos, which we can't see. A lot of shit's been taken down. But yeah, it's all Dabbleverse shit. Like the Duke is a nickname for Stuttering John. I do know that. Karl's there. Karl's on this one. I don't know who Big Nick is. And then Adam blames Shuli. I don't know who that is. But hey, whatever, chat, whatever. Like, yeah, so it's fucking set up. In that broadcast, legal analysts, are there really legal analysts? Multiple or just one? And the use and voice of image without consent likely violated publicity law. And it says the Supreme Court's decision in the Andy Warhol Foundation case, a case dealing with fair use in the context of image appropriation, was analyzed, and it says you might invoke fair use, but that such defenses are weak given the commercial nature of the defendant's use and any lack of transformative commentary. Well, I think there's a lot of transformative commentary, given it said they would play the phone calls and intersperse it with a ton of commentary and own comedy programming. So, like, I don't know. It's yeah. Anyways, this discussion then underscored the defendant's conduct was not only well known but widely perceived as unlawful. They should have been aware their course of conduct was legally risky and breached New York state law, yet they persisted. So this is just anyway. In light of the misappropriation, plaintiff engaged the undersigned counsel to pursue litigation. On May 14th, plaintiff formally retained the law firm of Benedict Advisors to address the matter. Why? These are completely irrelevant. These are completely irrelevant parts of the case, like 2 extra paragraphs. You didn't need them in here. They don't need to be in here. So on May 30th, they sent a comprehensive demand letter to Shuli and Karl, and they demanded that they immediately cease doing any of this. The letter also demanded they provide an accounting and compensation for the profits they had made, and warned that Stuttering John filed a lawsuit if a satisfactory response was not received by a specific deadline. Okay. And then on June 13th, Karl and Shuli replied. In their response, they refused to comply with the demands. I mean, there you go. Tell them to fuck off is correct. They attempted to, and this is where, if this was part of a settlement demand, which I think you would, it's a demand letter, so it's a settlement demand. Those are generally prohibited from being introduced, the terms of settlements, by the rules of evidence. So this is not proper, in my opinion. This is not proper at all. It's not proper at all. So they claim, though, that they advanced certain legal arguments, quote unquote, which upon information and belief reference including the First Amendment or fair use principles and disrupting plaintiff's claims of unlawful use. Yeah, I mean, like, there is no fucking crime that's been committed. There is no tort that has been committed. Fuck off is the proper answer. The defendant's self-justifications were unfounded as they ignored the clear dictates of New York law. This is so fucking gay. This is so fucking gay and so fucking cringe. This again, plaintiff's counsel emailed back saying, no, it's you who broke the law. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? This is so fucking retarded. I don't understand why we're doing this here. So plaintiff counsel emailed back the same day asking whether they were represented by counsel to whom further communication should be directed. The defendants failed to answer that inquiry or otherwise indicate any intention of ceasing their activities. Doesn't fucking matter. They don't have to. This is just fucking cringe and gay. Now, as of early 2025, defendants have still not engaged counsel or meaningfully addressed the grievances. Instead, they continue to operate the Shuli network and retain WATP and the benefits gained from the unlawful exploitation. Fucking crybabies. Who cares? They don't have to engage counsel anyway. They told you guys to fuck off. They threw on a punk card, and we're waiting to see if you'd pick it up. So they say at all times, these guys acted willfully and in conscious delay and disregard of rights. They're explicitly afforded via letters from attorneys, and police reports. Their conduct is unauthorized, yet they choose to ignore it. Like, the defendants continue to misuse his voice and likeness after being warned by counsel. Okay, I mean, like, they did continue to use it, but they didn't do anything wrong. So once again, this is all garbage. The defendants' actions were neither accidental nor inadvertent. They were part of a deliberate strategy to draw viewers. Yes, it was. Now, by trading on the fame and notoriety of Stuttering John, okay, that's a little... No. Garbage again. They also acted with actual malice. Oh, I'm sure they did. The intent to harm and embarrass, I guarantee you, yes. Insofar as they sought not only to profit, but also to embarrass and harass him. Sure. So they say this is evidenced by tactics such as extorting a friend or of the plaintiff to betray him, displaying plaintiff's personal trash or ridicule him, and repeatedly taunting plaintiff on air. Aw, they don't like him when they make fun of him. Aw. And then when they dig through his trash, aw. Fucking crybaby. The defendants have demonstrated that absent judicial intervention, they'll continue to unlawfully exploit the persona as long as it's profitable for them to do so. Newsflash, that's how almost all fucking defendants are. Because until the court tells you that it's illegal or unlawful, it's not unlawful or illegal in these types of situations. Where it's going to come down to a factual basis, yeah, like there's nothing wrong here with keeping going. So the use of Stuttering John's name and likeness is purely for commercial purposes and falls outside any legal exceptions or privileges. I mean, like, but how do you know? How do you know? How do you know? You don't. You don't. So, this was done purely for commercial purposes. Oh yeah, this was done to make motherfucking money. Plaintiff is a private individual when it comes to the context defendant's exploited. Are you sure about that? I don't think that's gonna work that way. The content in question was not news reporting nor commentary in a matter of public concern. But if you're like this uber famous fucking guy, I mean, like everything's fair game. It's the argument. I mean, like, can't have it both ways. Can't have it both ways, Stuttering John. Now, even though the defendants interwove some commentary in their shows, such elements were built entirely on the unauthorized reproduction. Okay, so they do have the ability to do that, though. They say they appropriated plaintiff's expressions and identity as the raw material of their revenue-generating content. I mean, no, it like if anybody was doing this, they'd be fucking with this person. Nothing about this constitutes fair use, bona fide news coverage, or any other protected use under the law. In short, no consent was given, and no justification excuses the commercial misappropriation of Stuttering John's rights. Yeah, well. This is, I mean, I'm not going to lie. If I was Karl's attorney or Shuli's attorney, this is like fucking Rule 11 territory, man. This is, this is not very, I'm not impressed with this. So, I am not impressed with this at all. Hold on, chat. I'm looking for something here. Hold on, you guys. Hold on here, chat. Oh, why is that not there? Sorry. Oh, I don't know. I don't know why this is really fucking borderline frivolous. I don't know how he got an attorney in on this. If this Vince a lawyer guy really did it, this is kind of like ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous. So, I don't. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. So, anyways, what is it? Unauthorized commercial use of name, image, or likeness. And it says violation of New York civil rights law. So, okay, so let's keep getting on here. Say it prohibits the non-consensual use of a living person's name, portrait, picture, or voice for advertising or trade purposes. Well, was it an advertising saying Stuttering John says come to DabbleCon 2? Nope, that's not it. That's not what we're doing here. That's not what they're doing here. That's not one of them. That's not it. You know, and that's the thing here for advertising or trade purposes. That didn't happen. That didn't happen here. So they used Stuttering John's name, portrait, and image for advertising purposes and for the purposes of trade. Well, explicitly, I don't think that's correct. No, once again, they used his name and photograph in promotional materials. They did it using his voice played during the broadcast. And then theming the entire event around Stuttering John, and all to use his name, image, likeness, and voice. Once again, we already covered these, chat. No, this is not how that works. Once again, this is a copy of the promo. Like, this is it. Does that look like that saying Stuttering John enhances this or supports it or is part of this? No. No. So, yeah, like I said, this is Rule 11 territory, man. These items were intended to and did promote the defendant's business ventures and yielded direct commercial benefits to the defendants. I mean, well, that part's true. They did make a lot of money. But they're saying at no time did he give his permission, authorization, or consent, written or otherwise, to do this. And it's, this is, none of this is correct. None of this is correct. None of this is correct. They did nothing wrong here. So, this all here is just blah, 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 blah. This is all just garbage. None of this here. They talk about ignoring the cease and desist notices because they're fucking bullshit. Blah, 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 blah. This is all just garbage. All just garbage. All just garbage. They say the misappropriation of the name, image, and likeness has caused injury to Stuttering John's peace of mind, his dignity. Does he really have fucking dignity? Does Stuttering John actually have any dignity? And professional reputation of what? He was suffering humiliation and stress from being held up to scorn and ridicule in front of large audiences without his consent. Happens when you're a fucking tool. Happens when you're a fucking tool, man. It's how it goes. It's how it goes. Moreover, they've unjustly profited from his money. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. This is all just garbage. The evidence shows a calculated effort to exploit Stuttering John's identity for over an extended period for monetary gain. Yeah. It's like they set this up. It's a Stuttering John campaign. They planned it out. So they point out that there's no judicial exception to liability. There's no new broadcast or report. It's not a protected parody or satire. I would argue it's part of satire. I mean, they're making fun of you and the protected parody. Not necessarily, but I mean, it's protected under the First Amendment. You're not like going to be able to hide behind, oh, there was a fire, everybody has to go. This is just, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand this. This is, I get it, his check clear, but this is so fucking awful. So they say there was also, the use was not also incidental or de minimis, meaning just very minor. The identity of Stuttering John was central to the product, therefore they cannot avail themselves to any defense or privilege, such as newsworthiness, public concern, and or comedy parody, that would exempt their conduct from liability. Well, I don't think they're going to need any of that. I think they're going to get the dismissal they need because this is absolutely stupid. So once again, they seek, the $300,000 plus another $300,000. So they want about $600,000 and then basically like a free trip to go to court. So the common law misappropriation of the right of publicity. And so they say a common law, it's a wrongful act to misappropriate for one's own benefit the valuable property rights of another. Okay, and they point out that Stuttering John's name, image, and likeness have significant value. Other parts of his identity that he has developed and have monetary worth in the entertainment industry. That he developed what, along with his drinking? Because Stuttering John likes the road pops. They say by engaging in the conduct above and using as a basis for their own content, shows, and events, that the defendants have misappropriated the commercial value of Stuttering John's identity. They did so with the intent to reap where they have not sown. I mean, that's how fucking internet shit works, buddy. That's how internet shit works. That's how, I mean, this is the same for me. This is how a lawsuit works. A lawsuit is working this way. So, the defendant's misappropriation was unauthorized and bad faith. He never gave permission. The actions were undertaken for competitive and commercial advantage. Yes, and this is this one here that Stuttering John was competing with WATP and Shuli as he earns his living through performances, appearances, and his persona in media. Yeah, that's it. I mean, like, yes, if every. I mean, I'm not going to say it because I don't need to give people ideas, but like, no, it wasn't like that this stuff happened everywhere he went. So what's the problem? They say by appropriating his persona without permission, they essentially set themselves as an unauthorized alternative of Stuttering John content. I mean, this is such garbage. I can't believe somebody wrote this with a straight face. They must have promised. I can imagine an attorney doing all this, but I'm sure he gave fucking Stuttering John an exorbitantly high price. And yet somehow he fucking did it. It's yeah. Now this usurped a potential market, especially in the largest market, New York City and the New York City Metro, that rightfully belongs to Stuttering John. If anyone were to profit from pay-per-view events or media from his personal life, it should have been John himself, not the defendants. Do you hear that right, chat? They're coming out and saying he is the king of New York City. You know, it's just like it's like Christopher Walken movie, King of New York, where he comes out as a big fucking gangster. You guys actually watch that movie. It's very, very good. It's got Lawrence Fishburne in it and shit. It's actually pretty it's pretty cool. He's the fucking king of New York. He's the Shogun of Harlem. Stuttering John. But it usurped a potential market. Why? Was Stuttering John going to start marketing on his own fucking cringe? No, because if you listen to this, Stuttering John sounds like he's the man. No, so Stuttering John wasn't going to market on his own cringe and retardation. So what market did these guys steal from? What money did they steal out of Stuttering John's pocket? I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. So these actions cause competitive injury to Stuttering John by siphoning off the opportunities of making money off the cringe, off his shitty career, and by saturating the market with unauthorized content featuring Stuttering John. I'm sure that these tapes don't put Stuttering John in a good light, and I'm sure that's caused people to not want to work with him. I'm sure that's when it caused, like, especially like people who book for comedy clubs and stuff like that, not to want to hire him or give him shows. So I could see that, but it sounds like Stuttering John caused Stuttering John's fucking problems. So they claim it's unfair competition, but how? What are they competing with? It's a bad faith misappropriation of labors and expenditures of another. Okay. Stuttering John's labor and expenditure in this context is cultivation of a persona and public image over years of work and entertainment. Once again, yeah, I was going to say his reputation of being an asshole, an idiot, and a fucking drunkard. That's all I understand. That's all I understand. The defendants acted with deceit and subterfuge, and the intent to capitalize on Stuttering John's efforts and fame. Like, once again, how much fame are we really talking about here, buddy? Like, not too much. So as a direct result of this, Stuttering John has included the loss of income or license fees that should have been earned from the legitimate use of his persona, damage to his goodwill. Yeah, because it sounds like you came out as a complete piece of shit. So from here, it's They claim that, they made money off the ticket events, the online monetization, and the increased enterprise value of the Shuli network brand. But not WATP. Apparently, they gain nothing here. So the above described actions were conducted willfully, maliciously, in intent to harm interests, thereby warranting consideration of punitive damages. Stuttering John seeking an award of monetary damages and amount to be proven at trial. They say for which the defendants are jointly and severally liable, meaning it doesn't matter who pays, somebody has to pay. The plaintiff also seeks punitive damages in amount sufficient to the misconduct and a permanent injunction to relief to prevent any continued misappropriation of his persona. I mean, like, if I start doing it, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, literally anybody can come by and do it. Count 3, unjust enrichment. This is a pretty obvious one. Unjust enrichment is that you attain monetary benefits in a way that is unfair and unjust. You did something, or more importantly, normally you get unjust enrichment by, I paid you to do something, you didn't do it, therefore you have unjustly enriched yourself. And they say under the principles of equity and good conscience, the defendant should not be permitted to retain the profits and benefits derived from their actions. Like, okay, I mean, but they earned them. And it says it would be unjust for the defendant to keep what is essentially the value of Stuttering John's publicity rights, taken without compensation. I mean, what else could they trade? It's not like he can use dignity. So, but no, this is garbage. This is garbage. This is all just fucking tampon whining again. All just tampon whining. The defendants have no legitimate justification for the enrichment they obtain. Yes, they do. Their conduct was unauthorized and tortious. Yeah, no. Any revenues gained are not the product of the defendant's efforts alone, but rather co-opted from Stuttering John. Nope. Stuttering John, on the other hand, received no compensation, and thus the retention of those benefits would be unjust. Yeah, that's not how that works. Once again, no. So they seek restitution and disgorgement, meaning for them to cough up all the profits. Now it's all attributable revenue from the show streams for promotions. And they say the exact amount is to be determined at trial. They say, in addition, they want any other relief the court deems just and proper to remedy the enrichment. So what do they want? They want damages for counts 1, 2, and 3, reasonable attorney's fees, and any other actions, the orders or actions the court deems just and proper. So it's like, what the fuck? This is really fucking bad, guys. This is bad. Bad. January 6th, 2.0 says, do you consider Gavin McInnes in the Dabbleverse? I don't like. What? I don't know. Means like the Proud Boys are technically part of the Dabbleverse. Like, I don't know how the hell he factors into that, other than like through his interactions with like Anthony Cumia. But I don't know. Like, that is such, guys, this was an awful fucking lawsuit. Like, this violates fucking Rule 11. And if I'm Karl's attorney, I'm immediately filing a fucking Rule 11 thing here. Like, we're not doing this. It's like, we are not fucking doing this, you idiot. Like, I just don't see. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense at all to me. I don't understand it. So, is Trump part of the Dabbleverse? That would be awful. Sorry, cringe enough at times. So, anyways, let's get some comments here. Assassin Actual 1 says, glad you're streaming tonight. Just started my 3rd semester at college at 35. Don't wait, kids. This shit is for the birds. Yeah. Yeah, well, good luck, man. Hope you do well at school. Kick ass. Jane and John Doe, been a member for 3 months, saying, put your hazmat gloves on for this one. Yeah, this was all fucking cringe. Daggett says, you start the early shows at 9:30 to 11. Too late for some of us with early work calls. Oh, I mean, yeah, there's some of that. I need to start doing a little earlier, like around 8, like I was doing for a while. But thank you for the comment. Yes, if you get Jane and John Doe for £5 sterling. The king sterling. If you gaze too long into the abyss also gazes back into you. The Dabbleverse victims. Yes, Nietzsche was very correct. You have to be careful. Salvatore is saying this is all a huge retarded DC crisis event. And he says Uncle Freddy died. I don't not sure. Chugi Show says how the Dabbleverse get their name. Well, I think we covered that. And the Sector got their name. I think Ethan Ralph mentioned it being the Sector. So ultimately, I thought he referred to it as this sector of the internet. But yeah, thank you for being here, Chugi. Jefferson Post says it's funny to hear the legal description of gay ops. Yes. Jane and John Doe for another £5 sterling says, would you have gone a similar route if your super tips removal demand was ignored? I don't know what I would have done, but it's simple enough when you read the TOS of something and, where you could have forced the TOS in different ways. And, there's all kinds of ways just sending emails to, people that, super tips may have licensed the AI through and other things like that. You're like, there's all kinds of ways you can implode stuff. So, it always would have been an option, but not the primary choice. No. There's other things that could have been done. Elfire Eva has been a member for 1 month. Thank you. Says, just got in. What's the most poo-poo part so far? The whole thing's poo-poo. The whole thing is dog shit. It's all dog shit. Swamp Dog Clyde for 5 subs, chat. That's right, 5 subs. Such a good boy with this. Got his beard on, but we're just going to get in a woo. Oh, no, Clyde. And then Jefferson Post says, make your A-logs your community like Sean's chat. Yeah, that's right. That's what I did there. Yeah. Yeah, and Derna's saying that's the funny thing about the internet. 500 in real life, 500,000 people is a major city. On the internet, it's an obscure corner of the internet. Yeah, that's the thing. And I told you guys before. That's the one thing I've learned about the internet. If you think your group is very well known and you're the baddest bitch on the block, you're probably not. So yeah, your reach is not as far as you go there. Derna says New York is a single party consent state, so if that's the argument, New York, if that's the argument, it's bad. Yeah, I mean it just all doesn't make sense. It all doesn't make sense. Tio Hank is saying Vince O'Leary said on a podcast, if you didn't know it was illegal, cops can't hold it against you. Fact. I mean, sometimes mistake of the law is a valid defense, but generally it's not going to be a good one. T-Rex Travel says, I just keep hearing the song Big Bag John by Jimmy Dean playing over and over in my head during this reading. Well, you can worry about being Big Bad Leroy Brown. That's a good song, too. Whiskey 77 for $5. Thank you. And by the way, T-Rex, thank you very much as well. It says, which is more cringe and gay, this case or Kurt or Ricada reacting to a Kurt cooking stream? I mean, they're both really bad. They're both really bad. They're both bad. Summerable Trap says, happy birthday, Sean. Sorry to have missed it. Well, no, thank you. Thank you for the well wishes. And you have no obligate. Like, I said, guys, nothing is ever obligated. But thank you. And also, I know you said you were looking for a job, I think, recently. I hope that went really well. And Jefferson Post says for $5 here, lol cows never learned that humility is fun and more profitable. Geeks and Gabers made bank on super chats calling Jeremy gay and Beardo a tard. Yes. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. That is the way to make more money. So, yes. Yes, Leroy Brown, he was meaner than a junkyard dog. Yes. You guys want me to play Jackbox Party? What the hell is that? I don't know what that is. So I'm not sure I want to know what it is. I'm not sure I want to know what it is. You got the job in an apartment in the ghetto. Well, congrats. So I'm gonna get a Hellcat and take the CPL class soon. Well, I thought that meant you lived in the ghetto. You're gonna buy a Dodge Hellcat, so you're like, I could blend in with all the Negroes. But I get you meant a SIG Hellcat. Oh, they're having a jack off party. It sounds like it. It sounds like it. I'm not sure though. It's not clear. The instructions are not clear, chat. They are not clear at all. So, um, let's see here. It's only 8:46. Good. We got some time here. Oh, hold on, chat. I gotta. Okay, hold on, chat. I forgot to set this up earlier. All right. All right, chat. That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, this is pretty much fucking cringe and gay. I don't see how this lawsuit survive. I mean, like, it'll survive motion to dismiss, but Discovery is gonna fucking kill Stuttering John. Like, I don't think he wants to get in Discovery because all these claims and all this shit he says in the complaint. Like, let's say he sits down for a deposition. Karl's gonna give his attorney all kinds of shit and get Stuttering John pissed off. He's gonna lose his shit. All kinds of things. I bet Shuli and Karl are gonna get it. So Stuttering John has to do a breathalyzer before he takes his fucking deposition, which that'll be funny to see on the deposition. Stuttering John sitting there with a PBT, having to go like, whoo, and then the attorney's looking at it going, yeah, it looks like he's sober. Yeah, it's very, 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 it's garbage. And if Karl and his attorneys can't get rid of it, that sucks. But yeah, they're gonna have to. I doubt they get it dismissed on motion to dismiss. Judge is probably gonna let it go to Discovery a little bit, maybe. But hopefully they don't spend too much time and money on it because that would be that wouldn't be fair at all. If Stuttering John could force these guys to spend money, that is not what this is meant for. So, yeah. So, yeah, Stuttering John is way dumber than I ever realized. Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like it. So it's just a garbage fucking lawsuit. Garbage fucking lawsuit for a garbage person. So there you go. That is it. So guys, we are going to take a quick break here. We're going to start back up at 9. We've got Mickey Steins. He's the sheriff down in Kentucky who walked into the judge's chambers and on camera fucking walks up to that judge and just fuck, right in the guy. And if you guys haven't stuck around for us with this, yes, the sheriff of the county walks in, meets with the judge, pulls out his fucking gun, and starts fucking shooting the guy in his fucking chambers. As he walks out the door, the judge has crawled under his desk, and Mickey Steins walks up to the desk and gets down real low and goes, poof, poof. Oh, fucking handled some business there. And does this make me part of Mapton's crew? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, chat. If that is a possibility here, I tell you right now. I tell you right now, chat. If that was really a possibility, we'll be doing potentially criminal tries it. Fucking PDX1 hollow points. We'll be doing that episode, and it won't cost you $150 or 10 goals to get that one. It'll be fucking delivered exclusively by me as hot content. So no. So wasn't it because the judge supposedly did something to the sheriff's daughter? It does not look like that's the case anymore. We don't really know. now. It doesn't sound like that was the case. Doesn't sound like he touched the judge's kids or anything. It says, be careful. Aaron thought this was going to be a slam dunk for John. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I say what's right or wrong. That's why I still understand why the Dabble fags are mad at me for saying Aaron's going to lose and that, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not worried about impressing these faggots. It's about what's correct or incorrect. So, surprise game at Airsoft gone wrong. Oh, there's going to be no surprise at all. It's going to be intentional. We're going to it'll be me taste testing a fucking hollow point and also studio redecoration because we're going to redecorate the fucking wall behind me. Oh. So. So, yes, the Faggleverse. Yes, I mean, yes. The AIDSelverse. Yes. It's like Ebola, and then the Hackverse came out of it, too. So, it's like strains of Ebola mutating. So, yes, cool repainting and remodeling. Yes, I'll be repainting and then remodeling because I'll put a moonroof in the back of my skull. Yes, it's going to be best. Unhung Hero's been a member for 18 months. Thank you. Says, turning chat green, sweet stalker children. Yes. Yes. Thank you for being here for 18 months. I appreciate it. So. All right, chat. With that said, we are landing the plane here. I am going to get you guys to switch over there. I got to switch this over, but we're going to do that. Come on. Fucking things here. Anyways, chat, we're going to leave it here. And, gifting 10 subs. Let's fucking go. Chat, we are not going to do members only tonight because we're going to do the Mickey Stein. It's only Tuesday. Yeah, we will do members only tomorrow night. So 10 more of you going to be able to join us with that. That's another woo out there, chat. We are going to do members only tomorrow night. So 10 more of you are going to be able to join us. It's going to be a fun time. Optional None says, if I was rich, I'd be a greenie. Can I raid my own shows? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. All right, chat. So I will see you next time, and I'll see you over with Mickey Steins. And remember, chat, until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Although if you're Stuttering John, you're guilty of being a fucking retard. So I don't think we can do anything about that for you, buddy. You're still going to be a retard. Your lawsuit sucks. But, yeah. So I will see you guys over there. And take care, chat. And see you guys in a little bit. Good night.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy that hated you?